Hello and welcome. As you are hopping in, go ahead and just give us your name and where you are calling in from. And I'm here in La Jolla in San Diego, California.
And I'm in Arizona, just outside of Phoenix.
Awesome. Welcome, Ava. Welcome, Boris. I think we've got a hot seat for you today. Welcome, Alina, Brennan. Welcome, Casey, Carlos. Welcome, Colette and Cheryl. Aloha, Glenn. Yeah, so as you are hopping in, just give us your name and where you are calling in from. Welcome, Elizabeth and Dorina. Welcome, Catherine, Lorna. Hello from Palm Beach. We're going to give people a few more minutes to hop on. I am super excited about today because it is the first time that we are actually doing some instant implementation with you right on the training. And we've got a lot of really fun stuff to reveal. So today's going to be both really impactful for your brand and really fun along the way. And you'll actually walk away from this with not just a bunch of new information, but actually a lot of implementation and a lot of progress. Welcome, Sharky. Good to see you here, Sean. Welcome, Zena and Simon. So we'll give another minute here and then we will jump right in and get started. And as you are dialing in, just give us your name and where you are coming in from. And again, this is Dimitri. I am the Chief Expression Officer, the CEO here at Influex. I'm going to give myself a more formal introduction in a moment. And then we've got Jonathan Gray on here. We'll give a more formal intro in a moment as well. And I am here from La Jolla, California.
I see Joe's from Phoenix too. Fellow Phoenix person.
Awesome. All right, we've
Cool.
still got a
Hey,
lot of people hopping in. So we'll give it one more minute and then we will get rolling. Awesome. People from all over the country and all over the world. So I'm going to get us started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got a really full training today that I am excited for. So first, just a quick show of hands or type in the chat. Can you see my screen? And while it's loading, we've got a bunch of new people joining. So as you are jumping in, just give us your name and where you are dialing in from. All right, fully loaded. So welcome everybody. Today is our Brand Your True Self Instant Implementation Workshop. So instant implementation means that we're going to give you a tool today that you'll actually get to use, not just after the training, but right on the training. We're going to have a lot of fun implementing so that you walk away from this with half of your Brand Bible Blueprint complete. For those of you that are new to the concept of Brand Bible Blueprint, we're going to introduce that in a moment. It is the surprisingly simple process that we've used to build the brands of top internet influencers. And I'm your host today. I'm Dmitry Kozlov. I'm the CEO or Chief Expression Officer at Influex. And Jonathan is your main influence instructor today. He's our Imagineer who has completely upgraded everything that we do as a company, including now our new brand and my new personal brand. And he's been responsible for launching some of the most beautiful sites that we've done in the past year. And prior to that has over a decade of branding experience, both in personal brands and really large corporate brands, and some brands that everybody here has heard of. And beyond that, he's also a really passionate artist and in some ways a comedian. So you'll get to see some of that side of him today as well. So Influex is a company that is founded on this concept of influence and expression. It is actually a made-up word that is the combination of influence and expression, based on the belief that your greatest influence, impact, and income all come through your fullest expression. And so our why as a company, which you're experiencing today, is to empower influencers to amplify their impact through expressing their essence. I believe that everybody on here today is an influencer. Whether you've got millions of followers or you're just starting your business, you're influencing somebody with your brand, both online and offline. And so our goal is to be able to give you the ability to do that really authentically in a way that amplifies your impact, which is becoming more important than ever as we enter a digital decade. And your online brand is literally the 24/7 version of you that lives online. And so before we jump into the training, I want to ask a couple of questions, 3 questions. Question number 1 is, does your brand authentically express who you are? And just type in the chat and give us a 1 through 10. So if you currently have a brand site up, or if you don't, then I guess that would be a 0 or a 1. So 1, 5, new, 0. Awesome. Congratulations, Glenn. 9. So great to know that there's so many people starting here, because you'll get to start right in a way that this process will be easy and simple for you rather than complex and challenging. Question number 2, if you have a website already up, does your website drive the results that you want to your business? So in the form of leads, sales, media, and PR opportunities. Give me a 1 through 10 on that. 0. Awesome. You're in the right place.
Yeah.
And finally, how confident are you currently in creating this for yourself? A brand that authentically expresses who you are and a site that drives results in the form of leads and sales to your business. Awesome. Confidence across the board. And the goal here is that after today's training, whatever your confidence level is, will be at least up 1, 2, 3 points beyond that. And you'll see the journey ahead for you as a lot of fun. It'll actually be an enjoyable process. And we're going to start with building that confidence today. So what influence can you expect from this expression today is that you'll instantly implement the surprisingly simple brand Bible blueprint so that you can build a beautiful brand that firstly expresses your essence and secondly amplifies your influence. What that means is it gets to the core of who you are and expresses that through your online brand, and then amplifies your influence, meaning it drives the business results and meaningful, measurable progress in your business. And this is a process that we've used to build the brand sites of some of the top online influencers. We've done this for over 150 sites and companies, people that you may have heard of, Dan Locke, Jennifer Hootie, Joe Polish, Mike Dillard, more recently Lewis Howes, and Ryan Dice, Frank Kern, and so many other people. And through working with them, we've not only gotten to build their personal brands, but we've also gotten to learn from them, and we get to infuse all the marketing expertise that we've learned from these mentors through standing on the shoulders of giants into our branding and marketing process. And so our process to create these beautiful brand sites really goes in 3 phases. It starts with essence extraction, where you get to the core of who you are before you ever start a pixel of design. And that's what we'll cover today. And then you get to take that creative clarity into essence expression, where you express that online through a brand, design, and messaging, and then expert execution, which is where you actually go to build your site and bring it all to life. And all of this is part of what fulfills on the ability to have a beautiful personal brand that expresses your essence and amplifies your influence. And this whole process and a bunch of our sites were recently featured in an entrepreneur article. We've gotten a chance to share this on all sorts of stages. And just more recently, we started doing these more instant implementation workshops where you actually get to implement live and right afterwards so that you walk away not with a bunch more information, but with something that you can actually immediately use and have momentum on. I believe your website is the center of your online universe. So your social media platforms, your media, your PR, any stages you're on, podcasts you're on, they're all kind of satellites. And your website is at the center, it's at the core. And because of that, you of course want a site, especially if you're building a personal brand site that firstly drives results, leads and sales. That's what makes it a worthy investment. Builds authority and trust. So attracts media, PR, speaking opportunities, clarifies your message so that people going on there, that's part of what builds authority and trust, actually know who you are, what you stand for, and what you can do for them. Gets remembered and shared and gives people a reason to come back to. And finally, authentically expresses who you are, authentically expresses your essence. And the unfortunate warning is that this is really hard. And even most online influencers, including those that you look up to, never really get this right. Most web professionals that you pay really good money to usually suck at getting you a results-driven website or a beautiful brand, much less an authentic and artistic expression of your essence. So you end up wasting time, energy, and money on your site without ever getting the results you want. And just quick show in the chat, who's ever hired somebody to build a site or design for you where you've had this experience? Wasted time, energy, and money, or it's just been a frustrating process overall. Yeah, so it's really common, and it's unfortunate because there's so many talented people out there in this industry, and usually this frustration comes from they don't have the creative clarity to start with. And so we believe that before you ever start a pixel of design, you've got to do this process of essence extraction, where you gain crystal clarity on your brand, your avatar, who you serve, your voice, and your style before you ever start a pixel of design or write a word of copy. And so without further ado, we get to introduce the Brand Bible Blueprint. Again, this is our surprisingly simple tool to create the creative clarity to make the rest of your site process, whether you're building a site or you're building any other components of your brand, so much easier. And with that, I get to introduce Jonathan Gray, again, our Influex Imagineer, who created and designed this process. And since he introduced it to our company, we've gone from things that take oftentimes months to get a level of creative clarity to within hours, sometimes even instantly on a client creative clarity call, creating this brand Bible that then becomes the domino for the rest of the process being so easy. And today, Jonathan's going to walk you through the brand Bible. You'll also get to meet his other archetype, Ben, and we're going to reveal my personal brand Bible, which is something that I've had the plumber sink syndrome for so many years with my site, which is that I've had an embarrassing personal brand site. And so we'll get to finally do that. And today is the first full reveal of my first step in this, which is my personal brand Bible. After this training, we're going to share the different ways that we can continue to support you, either through free education, our newly launched DIY Do Influex Yourself paid program, or our services, as well as where you can get more of our free resources, tools, and workshops. And then after that, we're going to do some open Q&A and 2 live hot seats. And as you're implementing throughout the training, of course, you can bring your questions and we can help you make even further progress towards the end of the training here. So that said, I'm going to jump into student mode and also giddily watch as we reveal my personal brand throughout this process.
Awesome. Thanks, Dima, for sharing that. And yeah, guys, I'm super pumped about sharing this brand Bible. Me just being a creative, this process has just elevated the way I show up for our clients, the way that we get so much clarity in a short amount of time. And that's what's really important, so that we can consistently create great work without having to reinvent the wheel. So I'm super excited to share this process so you can start implementing these things and begin building a brand that is congruent to the direction you're headed towards. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So what I'm going to do, uh, make sure you have your brand Bibles up, because like Dima said, we're going to be doing some implementation together. So as I go through these slides.
Right. Let me send you all the link. So when you registered, you got a link. And so it is influex.com/brand-new-brand-bible. And let me send you that now. So if you click on that link, you should go to something that says make a copy. And you click that button if you haven't already done so, and it'll make a copy of the brand Bible in your Google Drive. And that said, for now, follow along with what Jonathan's doing first, and then we'll give you the action steps to start implementing along the way.
Thank you. Yeah, so make sure you click that link, make that duplicate, and we'll get started. But as you guys are doing that, let me give you a little introduction of really the most important thing about the brand Bible and what's helped me get super clear. I really use this as a process of, I guess, like reflecting and mirroring. And so throughout this process, what we're going to do is we're going to really be super aware of the things that you're inspired by, the people that have influenced you, brands or other like companies that you interact with on the daily. And we're going to start seeing what's kind of the world that you currently live in, and also the world that your clients are living in, and seeing what are these attributes that you can start bringing into your personal brand. So it's really a great process of extraction and excavating what's already there. And we're just asking questions to build awareness, because the deeper we can get into your world, the better it is that your clients are going to be able to see in your world as well. So the first thing we always do is, let me click here, is we always ask, who are you? And this part of the slides here, this is really meant to be like a very quick, like elevator pitch of who you are. So as you see, this is a prompt where you guys can start filling in. And, this is, my name is, and I'm put your title, your name, who's devoted to helping, who your avatar is, and create a result. My mission is to, your mission statement goes here. And I believe that, and share your belief here. And are you ready to? And we're going to share Dima's, because what I'm going to do is I want you guys to be able to type in your answers, but also we'll use Dima as a reference as well. So let me hop over to his. And as you guys, as I do that, if you can, you may not know all of this here, but if you want to start typing in, maybe your mission statement, what are you here to do? Who are you here to serve? And what kind of promise do you guys deliver to your clients? Let me pull up Dima's.
And I realized I was just playing with this particular slide recently. So I'm excited about the new stuff in here. And all of this is a work in progress, as yours will be as well.
And that's what's fun about this process, is that it's always a work in progress. And even with our clients, especially in DIY, we encourage them to get your slides done. It doesn't have to be perfect, because as you continue the process of going through DIY, you're going to have more realizations, you're going to get more clarity along the way, and you'll revisit this slide. You'll revisit your brand Bible, which is cool. So it's never like you're. So Dima, do you want to share who you are in this?
Yes, let's do it. So I'll just read it out loud, and you'll kind of get to know me in a brief paragraph. So I'm Dmitry Kozlov. I'm an entrepreneurial artist who's devoted to building a beautifully expressed world through websites, words, and work. So I believe that your greatest influence, impact, and income comes through your fullest expression. Um, I believe in a world where your web presence becomes an expression of your true essence, and where your work is your greatest source of your evolution and self-expression. So um, there's a repeat line there. And as a spoken word artist, which you'll get to experience a little bit of me in that way today as well, I move the world forward with words. So as the CEO of Influex, Chief Expression Officer, I get to empower entrepreneurs to fully express who they are online and amplify their influence and impact. And then I end with a question of, are you ready to live out your fullest expression?
Beautiful. That's awesome. And it's such a great process to distill all of these attributes of Dima into like a single paragraph. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want to go into like a full story. We want to just get like a quick like extraction of who you are. And I see Boris has added his in the chat, which is awesome. So anyone that has want to share, feel free to do it in the chat.
Yep. Go ahead and type in the chat, even if you just say, hey, my name is this, and I
Yeah.
do this, and I believe in this, even if it's just a super quick 30-second thing, just know that this will be the domino that gets everything started.
Awesome.
And you're getting to know each other through this process as well.
Helping people who are suffering chronic and degenerative conditions, create accelerated self-healing. It's beautiful. Awesome. Boris, this is really clear. Digital marketer who's devoted to helping creators succeed through smart digital marketing strategies, podcasting, and search engine optimization. It's great.
Great work, everyone who's doing this really
Awesome.
fast and on the spot.
Simon's awesome. Dennis, great. Super clear. I love your I believe statements.
And so at this point, you can either copy it from the chat and then paste it right into your new brand Bible, or we'll also email out the chat transcript afterwards in case you want to just keep following along here. Although I do encourage, if you just type that into the chat, just give it a quick copy and paste it right into the who are you section there. And then you'll have the first slide complete.
Awesome.
Awesome. And with that, let's move on to how we become who we are.
Yes. All right, guys. So let's go into industry influencers. What I love about doing this is it allows us to see people that you're influenced by and in getting a general scope of just the landscape and seeing what does this world look like, and let's start deconstructing the people that have impacted you the most. So for Dima, we have Vishen and we have Mike Koenigs, right? So these are the people that have really impacted him, that have really built a lot of his drive to do his business, his not only that, but just even work or life in general. We also have Joe Polish, we have Yannick Silver, and we got Roger Hamilton. And so awesome that he has pictures with these. This is great. If you don't have pictures of yourself with these people, just Google them and just fill in as best as possible. And then what we always like to do is, you'll see this throughout the brand training, is we want to deconstruct, like, okay, not only do we know who these people are, let's understand why. Why do these people have these impacts in our lives, right? So as you can see, the attributes of all of these influencers, they're visionary, big picture thinking. They integrate polarities. They can take two seemingly different things and find a way to bring them together. They're quirky and playful. They're artistic and creative. They play a big game. They have courage and they're very initiative, contribution and impact, evolutionary leaders. They're super connectors. They know how to bring everyone together, and they authentically express. And what's cool is that seeing this and me knowing Dima, these are all the things that Dima are, and this is how I see him. And it's really cool, like understanding like why he likes these people, because there's a direct correlation between them and him. So that's what's really fun about this process. So you guys can pull people that have influenced you in your industry and kind of start seeing how do these people connect, and also how do I relate to them. So let me ask you guys this. Who are some people in your industry that you resonate with that are either have direct impact, like working with you or have worked with them, or people that are just, playing a huge game that you just want to like become, that you see yourself stepping into? So take some time. Let's go into the chat here. James Clear, Brendan Burchard, nice. Pat Flynn, Tim Ferriss, Jay Klaus. This is great.
And also when I think industry, I think pretty wide. So
Mm-hmm.
if I thought web design industry, I would certainly look for different people. I don't actually have a lot of influences in the web design or branding world. But when I think of the entrepreneurial and influencer world, of people who are here to bring forth a big message and build really great companies, that's who I think of. And all of these industry influences, have some of whom have been actual mentors of mine. So they've been huge influences on how I show up in the larger industry.
That's great. And I think that's a great point. It's like you can cast the net pretty wide within the industry, right? Like you don't have to, if you're like a life coach, you can broaden that, not just life coaches, right? And so that's beautiful.
And then
And
if
also
you've already
guys,
typed, no, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, and as you guys are putting names too, even drop some words, just a couple words that resonate with you, like their attributes. What were you going to say, Dima?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say,
Okay, cool.
if you haven't dropped in your names yet and you're live on here, drop in the names. If you already dropped in your names, then drop in some of their qualities and attributes that you really resonate with. Of what about them inspires you? What about them do you mirror within yourself, that, or qualities that you want to develop for yourself or want to express?
This is great. Commitment to health of the world, integrity, reliability, consistency, adventurous, bold, exciting, fun, authentic, likable. These are awesome, guys. Crystal, love that. Badass. I definitely resonate with that one. You'll see in my brand Bible, I did badass as a real big word in there. Awesome. Well, this is great, guys. Keep it up. By the time keep interacting like this, your brand Bible is going to be done by the end. This is awesome. Cool. Well, you guys feel free to keep adding stuff as I keep going along. But just as we did with industry influencers, let's even dive a little bit deeper and go a little close to home and think about who are some heroes. Heroes meaning people that have impacted you, whether you know them or not, right? So it can be someone, it could be an author that has like changed your life or changed your whole perception, right? Or it can be your grandfather, it can be your mom, it could be your brother, right? So someone that's really close to you. People in history, people who are musicians and artists. So who are the people that have influenced you as far as just your heroes in general? So when we look at Dima's heroes, we have Eminem, we have NQ, and we have Tim Ferriss, right? We also have Richard Branson and Steve Jobs. I love this picture of Steve Jobs and him. It's so awesome. So, and it's like, it's everything that we saw in the industry influences that represents Dima too, in this picture of him with Steve Jobs, right? It's fun, it's quirky, it's silly, but it's like, you really get the intellectualism. You get to see like Richard Branson and him, and Joe Polish, which is great, right? So we look at these.
Definitely had some fun with this. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you
put
did.
me and Steve together like that.
I love that. And that's what's fun. It's like, if you aren't having fun doing this, like stop, take a breath, walk away for 5 minutes, and then come back to it. Because if you aren't having fun, it's going to show in your brand Bible. And this is such a huge part of building your brand. Just like Dima said, we don't do anything, we don't touch a pixel until all of this is done. And if this isn't aligned, then it's just going to be like the building blocks are going to continue based off a rocky foundation, right? So the more that you feel like this represents who I am, I had a great time doing this. You're not doing it out of stress. You're doing it with this kind of playful energy around it, the better it's going to be, right? So then let's look at these attributes, right? It's authentically expressed, creative, visionary, inspiring, free, and artistic.
And I'll
Right.
actually interject for a moment here with I mentioned that one of my identities is a spoken word artist, which is forward. So sometimes I'll do this at the end of a training, and in this case, I wanted to do it right here. So I've got a spoken word piece that I'm going to share with you. It's about a minute long. It's called "Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish," and it actually fuses all of these heroes, where it's a spoken word piece. So it's like InQ. In many ways, it's like rap, so Eminem style. It channels the Steve Jobs commencement speech, and it has a little bit of a Richard Branson fun flavor in there as well. So hopefully these words will inspire you to keep going. Meanwhile, if you haven't typed in your heroes yet, type yours in. And then as you're listening to this, also feel into like what life do you want to live before you die, and
Mm.
and bring that into the rest of this training today. So if you're there, I'm gonna invite you to take a deep breath with me. Actually, Jonathan, pause the screen share for a minute.
Absolutely.
You never know the last breath you will take. So face death every day, because in the face of death, everything falls away, leaving only what is truly important to you: your music, your story, your truth, your beauty, your soul. What you do as unity forms within you and your music is pouring from you till every last bit of your fuel and your courage is used. And even when it feels like your hustle is useless, just remember that nothing is useless, and there's a reason that you've been suffering through this, because it's something that moves you to remember the truth that you got nothing to lose and nothing to prove. So just do what you love and love what you do and have fun at it too. Trust in your music. Give up your excuses. Stay hungry. Stay foolish.
Nice,
That's kind
dude.
of my
Love
brand,
it.
personal brand theme poem.
That's great. And it's so perfect for this. It's like that energy bringing that into this is awesome.
So this is part of what you get to do with your personal brand is play, bringing all of you. You know, the influence component is getting to know your audience so well that you're communicating to them, and we'll get to that, to the avatar piece. And
Hmm.
the expression component is bringing your full self through, because it's your full self that actually gets to have the greatest influence. Because it's that, let's say you're selling education, you're not, people aren't just looking what class can I take and what's the benefit, but they're also looking who's my teacher. And with such a saturated marketplace of people selling many of the similar services and education and products, the creator, the teacher, the entrepreneur that the audience resonates with matters so much. So
Mm,
give yourself full permission to bring your full self through.
I love that. And what I love about this too, and even seeing this with your brand Bible, Dima, there's so many facets of who you are, and it's all about integrating it all into your
Mm-hmm.
personal brand. Whereas a lot of people, they feel like they only can show one side of that facet
Yep.
only, and they let everything else go. And what we really want to do is we want you to embody all of yourself and be able to share that confidently. And just like how you courageously did that for us.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. And so let's bring the integration for the rest of this. And um,
Go ahead and full screen this. All right, guys. So the next thing we're going to do is let's talk about your avatar. So what's cool about doing the avatar is that just like what we were talking about, there's so many aspects of you. You can have multiple avatars. Um, and most people think that they have to serve just one person. But as we'll see with Dima, there's almost like a spectrum of people that we can serve. And so when it comes to Dima, and as I go through this too, feel free to share who your audience is. But what we want to do when we're thinking about your audience is we want to give them a name. So for this audience, Dima calls them the internet influencer. We want to find an image that represents who they are. So, we're actually pulling from our current client list. So we have, Dan Locke, the internet influencer, right? We have their age, their revenue, their occupation, and what's important is what do they desire and what's holding them back? Those are very huge questions to ask. So for this instance, what do they desire is to have their online presence match who they actually are and the value they create. They want to be the category king or queen of their space. They want to be the number one in that space. And what's holding them back from achieving that is they can't read the label when they're inside the bottle. They need the right team to extract and express their true essence. And that is a huge thing with a lot of people that we talk to, not just with Dan, but a lot of people who are at that level, is that they're so close to their brand, they don't know how to step out and like fully express that fully on all levels, right? So let me get you guys to think, if you can give your avatar a name, what would it be, right? So Dima is the internet influencer, right? And we'll go to a second
and
one.
These don't have to be, in our case, we used actual clients and we've got a couple
Right.
more on there. And these could also be totally fictional identities or names, which we actually usually encourage as a fictional avatar. Just as I was putting this together, it was a lot easier for me to think of somebody that we actually serve.
Exactly. And that's a great point. Because there's a lot of people too, is maybe you haven't even reached that avatar yet that you want to create, or like a new client. And what you can do is use this as an opportunity to not only figure out who are you currently serving, but who you want to serve as well. So it's also used as a great way to project. So let's go to a second version.
Yeah,
So
we've
we
got
have,
three of these. So I'll walk through this one a little bit. So
cool, let's do it.
there's the six-figure coach as Dan Holguin. So a little bit younger, different income, but similar aspirations. Just in where the influencer is already positioned as the authority, this avatar wants to be positioned as an authority while being really authentically expressed. So they want to attract really quality clients. They want to convert their leads from their site, gain media exposure. And what's holding them back is mostly their online positioning sucks. Most of them have website shame and a lack of clarity on the message and the brand. And so,
Sorry.
all good. And then, and this might even be a lot of people on this call. Maybe you've got a successful business, but your online positioning is poor, or it's just not quite there. You're a professional or an expert versus a major influencer. And then our third avatar, which is less of a avatar for Influex and more of my personal brand, is I actually identified Jennifer Hootie on here. But anybody who's an agency owner has a great conscious company who's already successful and they want to scale with greater freedom and fulfillment. Because one of my goals personally is to start to share a lot of what we do inside of our company in terms of culture and systems and how we lead our team. And so I think of Jennifer and the coaching that we've exchanged with each other in the past years and how that's helped her business and it's helped my business so much. So I'm like, oh, if I could just serve more people like her, even through my media and articles, then I'd be really happy and the site would be doing its job. And so as you're doing this for yourself, I really encourage start with one avatar. Don't do all three. I might even have more, and that's part of, I have many different expressions and many different types of people that I want to serve with various things. That said, I would really start with one primary avatar for yourself. And Jonathan, let's switch back to the Dan Hogan one. That might be the best kind of example to put on here. Or even the template, because the template has some of the other questions in there. So that might be useful. So the brand Bible template, by the way, again, is Here's the link for everybody. And so if you haven't typed in yet, uh, yeah, who would be your avatar or the title for your avatar? And then give them a name. Here, Jonathan, you can take back over actually. Enjoy
Cool.
listening to you teach.
Awesome. All right. Sounds good. And we also have, Boris put the aspiring creator. Joe put the observers. So it's great. We're getting some answers in. It's awesome. Conscious millennial mom. Awesome. Very specific. That's great. Cancer patient.
And if you don't have the name yet, think through, um, just think through what are the person you serve, what's some of what they desire, and what's in the way of what they desire. Just start to type some of those answers in.
Beautiful. And as you guys keep doing that, I'm going to continue forward. All right. So now let's talk about brands. Now, branding, this is probably one of the most difficult parts of trying to create your brand Bible. And the reason is because not many people really think about brands this way. It's just more of an afterthought. You just, what a great brand does is you don't notice it, right? And that's like, it's just part of your life. So it takes a second to kind of like take a step back and just kind of observe, like, okay, what brands do I interact with? What do I consistently buy? What channels do I watch? What is my streaming service? What cars do I resonate with? So it's a really fun way to kind of just be aware of what's around me and what are the messages that are already coming at me, and what do they all kind of have in common, right? So when we look at Dima's brands, we have Firefly Wear, which is a really cool clothing brand. We have Mustang, we have Virgin, we have Mind Valley, Apple, Maverick 1000, Entrepreneur, Necker Island, and Burning Man, right? And you already kind of like, just from seeing these logos, and this is what a great brand does, just from seeing these logos, you already get a sense of a feeling of what they represent and who they are. And so they're just because, or just the mark itself just conveys like these attributes. And also you can see a lot of the stuff that we've been pulling in the previous slides is just building up more, and we're getting more and more clear on it, right? So now we see Mind Valley and Virgin and Apple, right? And that's awesome, because now we're seeing more integration between the people and also the companies and the things that they've built. So then that allows us to even go deeper and look at Apple's website, look at Mind Valley's website, go on Virgin's site, and kind of seeing like, okay, how do they communicate? What words are they using? How is their site set up? And what are things that I can bring into my design that can bring my stuff to the next level? And just like what we did before, let's look at the overall tone of these, right? So we have visionary art, there's a rebel, there's forward thinking, very human, sacred, playful, and premium. And it's okay if some words repeat. It's actually really great that some words repeat, because then those words are going to be really core words to bring into your brand, and also bring into your copy when you start writing your site. Because if you're resonating with it, most likely your clients are going to be resonating with that language too. So yeah, type in some of your favorite brands and ones that you resonate with. Someone made a comment to my Orange amp. Like, Orange is an amazing like amplifier brand. I love them so much.
And Jonathan, maybe we do a quick screen share of the template, or even just walk through
Yeah.
some of the, you mentioned there's like, you could look at clothing brands, you could look at car brands, like think of what you're choosing in your environment, what kind of technology you buy.
Good call. Yeah, and this will be in your brand Bible template. So you'll have a screen like this. And so these are just prompts to help you thinking of like, okay, what clothing brand, what car brands, food brands, and it could just even be like a grocery store. Like, do you shop at Whole Foods? Athletic brands, a lot of clients, do like Lululemon or like Nike or On It, technology, beverage, sports, and entertainment brands. And also, you're not limited to what's here, and you can have multiple. So maybe there's a couple car brands or a couple entertainment brands. You can totally add those in there too. There's really no limitation. And if you feel that like, hey, these aren't enough, you can always duplicate this slide and even go a level deeper and find more logos too.
And so for those of you who just typed in the brands, go ahead and give some thoughts to the overall tone or the brand tone of those and what resonates for you in some of these brands. And for those of you who haven't typed in brands, go ahead and type those in.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Whole Foods, Lululemon, Anatomy, Land Rover. Awesome. Chic, elegant, classic, forward thinking, classy, reliable, comfortable, durable, quality, trusted. That's awesome. Those are great. We have Volcom, Jaguar, Virgin, Billabong. This is great. This is awesome. Nice. Simon, awesome. These are so good, guys. This is great. And I see some of them repeating too. Apple's definitely a big one for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Vans, awesome. That's one I don't ever see that much. And I'm glad to see that because I love Vans. Love it. Cool, guys. We'll keep them coming. I'm going to keep going here. Now, when it comes to your brand tone, so we've done all the research, right? We started pulling all of these people, the influencers, the brands, and we're seeing like, okay, what do they mean to me? What words are continuously kind of coming up? And what do they all kind of have in common? Now that we've pulled that information, now it's about distilling it. So now let's start thinking about your tone. So going back to the slides before, start finding words that resonate with you the most or words that are repeating, and we can start bringing them into this next section, right? So the next section, what we're going to do is get super clear of, okay, what's the overall tone that you want to communicate? And Dima's tone, we have creative, artistic, authentic, expressive, integrative, playful, encouraging, forward thinking, and sacred. And just like I said before, these are all words that have been already extracted. So by this point, you're just going through and you're just selecting now. You already did all the extraction. Now let's do the integrating. And then also find an image that represents this brand. So Dima, tell me about Android Jones and why this image impacts you so much.
So I love visionary art overall, and Android Jones is my favorite visionary artist. And there's so much here. And I would say one of the things is the piece is called Dharma Dragon. And Dharma, mission, purpose is actually one of my favorite words and concepts. So it didn't make it into the brand, but it's almost like the overarching concept that drives me. Then this piece has this beautiful balance of masculine and feminine, of cool and warm colors. There's such an integration here, as well as in a lot of Android's other art, integration and balance. And there's kind of this both like futuristic feel to it, and it's really sacred. It has this like infinity feel to it, and it's something that's in a way out of this world, a little bit fantasy like, but not so fantasy that it still reminds you of total connection to humanity. And so this image says a lot for me, as well as some of Android's other art. And I'm really excited to see what Jonathan and our creative team put together for my personal brand as an expression of this kind of art, along with the heroes and the other brands that we covered.
Yeah, and that's what's so fun. It's like we're along the journey with Dima, right? So as he's pulling this, we're getting excited and we're like, oh, there's certain aspects of this image that we can pull, right? Whether it's like textures or colors. And we're going to go a little bit deeper within the next few slides. But what's great about having an image that represents the overall tone, it kind of lets us visually start seeing what's this world, where is this brand living? Because then it will help inspire not only the website, but also photography, even your copy. So the more that we can get detailed and grounded in this vision, the better the website is going to be, right? The better the creative is going to be. So we have from Karen, natural, inviting, honest, inspiring, joyful, big thinking, encouraging, hopeful, courageous, innovative, journey worthy, intergenerational wisdom, kind. That's awesome. I love that. That's so great. Joe, awesome. Thank you for sharing. These are all awesome. Yeah. And then whenever you guys do this, try to find an image, whether it's an artist or it can even just be as simple as, you know, a sunset. It's just whatever image embodies this tone for you. So when we get to colors, here's another image from Android Jones, which is a beautiful image. And a lot of it, as you can already see within the image, we're bringing in the contrast, we're bringing in the integration, taking two opposites. And in this case, it's bringing two color opposites and bringing them together. So the colors that represents Dima's brand, we have blues, purples, oranges, yellows, and overall just polarities in general, right? The balance between light and shadow, cool and warm, masculine and feminine. So, and this is what's really fun about this is that the creatively we can have a lot of fun, right? We can create all different kinds of designs based off of this light and shadow, cool and warm. I just love this image. I love all the detail, and I love that it's blues and purples, but there's so many colors within it. So it gives us a lot to work with. So when you're thinking about colors too, as you notice, we have really, it's four main colors: blue, purple, orange, yellow. And what's good about not only having only four colors is that they're complementary, right? The blues and purples totally complement the orange and yellows. There's a contrast. And also, if you look at a color wheel, blues and purples are on one spectrum, oranges, yellows are on another spectrum. So then they're able to complement each other. So when you're thinking about your colors, I wouldn't go more than four. And I would also make sure that there's a nice balance and variety. Now, if color isn't a thing that you're super confident about choosing, Pinterest is such a great place to find color palettes. So let's say like you want to maybe go with a red color palette, but you're not sure what other colors can work with it. If you just type in red color palette in Pinterest, you'll get tons of results, and you'll see, you know, warmer reds, reds with black, reds with blues, and you can kind of start seeing which ones resonate with you. So I would love to hear overall what colors that you resonate with. So Karen put clear and light blues, greens, like more naturals, which is great. Grays, green, pops of color, berry, warm, friendly yellow, awesome. Purple and gold, orange and blue, beautiful. Yeah, and what's cool with like orange and blue, even folding like an image of like a sunset, like an orange blue sunset, and there's so many other colors that go with it. Greens and gold. Yeah, one of my favorite color palettes is like emerald green and gold. Like I love that color. Jewel tones, yep, nice and poppy colors there. Red, bronze, gold, awesome. These are great. Beautiful. So now with fonts, let's go deeper into this. And with Dima's fonts can be tricky, right? And in our training, we actually go into a DIY. We actually have a whole training just on design fundamentals and really understanding fonts and how to use them, how to choose them, and the best way to implement them on your website. So when it comes to fonts, you definitely want it to reflect your attributes, right? So we have modern, ancient, sacred, artistic, expressive, and impactful, right? So all of those that we know. But then when you're searching, it can be hard to kind of find, or what are the right fonts that are going to kind of represent that. And the best way that I search is I literally type in modern fonts, ancient sacred fonts, and I start kind of doing research, even just doing a Google image search, and start pulling fonts and bring them in here. Now, Dima has 6 different fonts. What we would do as designers and in the design team, we would go between, no more than 4 fonts, right? So we would kind of play with these and we would see, okay, which fonts work the best and how can we get the most out of them while making sure that they don't conflict, right? Because typography is super important, and the not only legible it needs to be, but it also needs to reflect the tone of the brand. So when you're choosing fonts, almost think of like, what's the voice and how does that voice show up as a font? So is it really bold, right? Or is it really simple and clean and modern? And not only refer back to your attributes, but even the slide before when you're thinking about color and you're thinking about your brand tone, and just making sure things kind of play off of each other. Yeah, and you'll definitely get a copy of Dima's with the brand Bible.
I'll send it right now. It's a little vulnerable for me. I like it.
All right, so awesome. Yep, you just shared it. Perfect. Dramatic. Awesome. So when it comes to the next slide, it's now let's think about your brand as an interior space. So what does your brand look like? How does it feel if we were to walk into your brand if it was a room? So with Dima, we have a very boho, creative, artistic, modern, comfortable, and plush, right? So it's overall, it's colorful, it's bright, it's welcoming, it's comfortable, but it's creatively, it stimulates you. It invites you to want to sit and want to work. And it's doing it in a space where it's very like peaceful and it's just very calming,
And
and
Jonathan,
which
getting
is
back to
great.
the next slide as well, I added some new things personally that are my actual environments.
Yep. And here's Dima's environments, which is
Yep. That's
great.
one of my old homes that I used to live in called the Skypad. And there you see the Union piece hanging in the back. And then my room on the right side, that's my room at night. And that's actually Jonathan at that desk there last week. And then right out my window during the day. And the sign, trust your essence is enough. And I added some more points here as well of like everything in my environment is meaningful. I love having a sacred space, also comfortable and plush, inspiring. And so I've realized that the way I design my environment is such a reflection of how I show up and how I want to design my brand.
Awesome. And that's such a great point. If you guys have an interior space or even just taking pictures of your office and putting it right into the brand Bible, and that's great. Or if you don't have an office or one day or just in general, just finding images just on Pinterest that like, yes, my brand would fit here.
For those that didn't get any links that I sent, I think I might have added this setting to just go to panelists. So now I'm resending everything to all attendees. So here you go.
Perfect. All right, the next slide is now let's talk about the feeling. We have the room, what we will want people to walk into. We have fonts, we have colors. Now, what's the feeling when they see your brand? When they see it, what's going to be the thing that they're going to walk away experiencing? So for Dima, it's inspired, it's free, expressive, courageous, playful evolution, and possibility. And I loved hearing your thoughts on Android Jones, and I love this painting and how you describe it. So I love for you to express that, Dima.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my favorite art piece, and it's called the Monarch Dragon, also by Android Jones. And it's a dragon that's made of butterflies with a little kid in front of it. And the other side of it is actually it's two warriors. I'm looking at it on my wall right now, facing each other. And it's also this polarity, the war within, And this is such a reminder of the concept of courage, in that there's this little kid staring at a big dragon. The dragon's made of butterflies, and the message there is that like all our fears are imagined. They're butterflies in the stomach, but they look really scary. And so that courage has been one of my core, I would say like one of my core attributes that has guided me through a lot of my life and career. And this one image represents a lot of these concepts and fits with the brand colors that I want to embody as well.
Mm. What I love about this painting too, it really represents even the whole process of going through this because it requires so much vulnerability. And a lot of reasons people don't build their personal brand is they're not ready to put themselves out there. And so they create this whole, I guess, like this whole fear about being vulnerable and sharing an aspect of themselves and being judged. And it's like
Yeah.
it's all an illusion. And once you get out there, once you start promoting and sharing your true self, then everything just fits and gets so much more clear for you. And you're you'll be surprised in the people that you're impacting that you had no idea by just being you.
Yeah, I would say, I've for so long delayed working on my new personal brand. And now that I'm doing it, I already feel so much more congruent in how we serve our clients. And I'm excited. We'll share a little bit towards the end here on DIY, the Do Influex Yourself program. And I'm actually being both an instructor and a student throughout that program, in that I'm building my own personal brand throughout it. Now, this is something I wanted to do over the summer for a first DIY program, and I had the excuse of I got too busy, I got pulled into other things. And so now part of the idea with revealing this brand Bible on this training is that every week as we go through the DIY program, I'm going to be building my own brand and sharing my own process along the way, including where I'm challenged and where I'm most excited of what I'm discovering through the process.
Mm, love that.
So,
Dan, that's
for those of you who are looking at this, yeah, what do you want people to feel? If you haven't answered that on your end yet, what do you want people to feel when they see your brand?
mm, excited, passionate, adventurous, determined, hopeful. Love it. That's great. Awesome, Boris. Understood, harmonized, safe, competent, confident possibility. You guys are crushing it. This is great.
You've got your brand Bibles. Those of you who've been answering consistently, you've got your brand Bibles like 70 or 80% complete,
Yeah.
which is huge, huge. It often can take weeks or months for people to get this level of clarity. And when you just jump in and do it right away and make it playful, this process, by having this brand Bible complete, any designer, copywriter, photographer, anybody you ever work with will have so much greater clarity on how they can serve and support you, as well as you have so much greater clarity on yourself.
Mm, beautiful.
Awesome.
Keep them
Let's
coming, guys. This is great. I'll keep going. So this is where it really gets interesting and fun. So now that we have all of these images that we've pulled, now we compile them all together, and this ends up being your mood board. So now we can kind of get really a holistic view of your brand, right? So we have all of these attributes, and what's great is it's not only bringing your brand tone, but it's also bringing in previous slides, right? So we have the clothing brand, we have Burning Man logo, we have the interior spaces, the colors, the tone, the feeling, and this is how it's all coming together. What's really great about this process too, it gives you a chance to kind of see, okay, does everything feel like it's working together? It kind of gives you a grander perspective and being able to look and like, okay, this is all fit. And if there's certain aspects where you're kind of questioning, that's awesome. Just go to those slides and then rethink it and then see like, okay, and then bring it back here. So it's always a process of discovery. And not only are you going to do this within the brand Bible, but as you continue to build your site, you're going to get deeper, clarity on aspects of you and your company and your business and your clients and avatars. You might need to revisit the brand Bible again, or vice versa when you go to copy and things like that. So you're always wanting to evolve, and it's always a process of creativity and discovery. So now that we would have this, for instance, this mood board that Dima put together, then it would be up to the designers to extract all the things that have been brought here and then start building that first homepage design and really getting the visual identity solid. And this is so important for a designer, for any creative, a designer, photographer, even writers, because now they're stepping into this world instead of just kind of coming at a blank slate and being like, okay, well, they're a life coach. What have I done for life coaches before? Instead, they're like, okay, this is who this person is, and I totally understand what gets them excited and how they're wanting to make the biggest impact, and I'm going to write towards that. And that's so important. And that's going to really what makes you set apart from having a site that looks templated to having a site that fully embodies your fullest essence. Anything you want to add to that, Dima?
I think,
About your board?
yeah, I think on, for the mood board, I'm excited to even like take some of the other images and make a second, an additional layer to this. But mostly I've seen, Jonathan, what you do with this and then taking it into design and then having our team bring this to life. And so what I'm really excited about is seeing this and having no idea what's next and knowing that that's not even up to me because I don't have to guide and direct the design because again, we get to give them this brand Bible and the guidance and then our design team. And the same goes for you if you've got somebody designing your site is after this, this mood board, you'll actually be able to give this to somebody, walk them through what's there, and you'll get to see some magic come to life. And where normally designing a site often takes so many revisions, this will significantly reduce the revisions, meaning by doing this process, you're going to save yourself a ton of time, energy, and money with any designer or copywriter you work with, while getting a process that truly reflects who you are, which without this is almost impossible. So if we go back to the beginning of where we say, why do most influencers and even web designers struggle building really authentic brands that also speak to the audience and influence the marketplace? It's because this process is skipped. And so now that you've done this process and you're so far ahead on this, the rest of your branding journey will be that much easier. And not only that, you've now learned a skill that as we enter the digital decade and the 24/7 version of you online through your personal brand matters more than ever, you now have a lifelong skill that allows you to express who you are online. And so in a moment, I'm going to share then the next phases of the process and how we can continue to guide you through them, whether it's through our ongoing free trainings and toolkits, through our DIY program, which is called Do Influex Yourself. I'm going to go into depth on that. Or if you just want to hire us to do this for you, I'm going to share the options to be able to do that. And then right afterwards, we're going to do some hot seats and open Q&A. And Boris, yes, please. Would love for you to share this with your mastermind group. Those asking for the recording and the replay, we're going to send that out right afterwards. So you should have that hopefully tomorrow, as well as some additional resources that I'm going to share in a moment.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love to share with you guys how this all kind of comes together. You've seen the process, you see how it got to this point. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share with you a brand strategy that I created for a character that, for me, at that time, was a very vulnerable place of wanting to step into my personal brand. And so what I did is I actually created a character that I felt like I can step into and I can step out of so that I can share a level of vulnerability without putting myself out there too much. So I'll go through this pretty quickly so we stay on track here.
Awesome. You guys get to meet Ben from Zen with Ben, which is one of Jonathan's alter egos. And then we'll go into sharing some additional tools and how we can continue to support you.
So basically, it's always a funny story every time I reflect on this. And even thinking about where I was in life, and wanting to step into more of an influencer space. But like I said, feeling too vulnerable and sharing and just being Jonathan Gray doing it. So I created this character and I took all the different aspects of, people that have influenced me, just like I shared with you in the previous, deck with Dima. People have influenced me and all of these things in my life that kind of integrated and brought this character to life. So Zen with Ben basically is a spiritual rebel who's devoted to help you overcome self-limiting beliefs so you can finally live the badass life you're meant to live. My mission is to motivate and inspire you to become your truest, most badass self. You see, I believe a badass is someone who knows themselves deeply, who embraces all of who they are, and who lives with a sense of wonder. Are you ready to awaken the badass within? So Zen with Ben really became this playful way of just becoming this person and this personal brand that I wanted to step into. And what was great, it gave me so much freedom to play and to experiment and try things. And if it didn't work, that's cool. It's Ben, it's not me. So there was a level of detachment there. And so, and at the time, I wanted to really see how far I can like fully express and embody this character. So what I did as far as industry influences, these are the people that, and I'm thinking from Ben's perspective, right? So I'm thinking of like, Ben's inspired by Oprah, Tony Robbins, and Wayne Dyer, Alan Watts, Prince EA, and Gabrielle Bernstein. And what they all have in common are the attributes is that they're bold, they're memorable, they're creative, they're approachable, they're deep, they're willing to go very deep, and they're charismatic. Like you remember them, you see them, and they stay with you. Now, when it comes to personal heroes, the people that I found, and a lot of this is me too, like I love Carl Sagan. He's a huge influence for me. Walt Disney, J.K. Rowling. And then also getting a little bit more on the ridiculous side, we have Bruce Lee, Joe Dirt, and Chuck Norris. And so these people represent to me, they're inspiring, they're visionary, they're creative, they're masterful in their craft, they're a little bit ridiculous, and they're just badass. So as far as my avatar, I have one main avatar, and I call him the cruise controller. And I called him Doug Benson. It's their age, 25 to 35, 30 to 50K. They work 9 to 5 at a corporate job. It pays well, but something doesn't feel right. They feel misplaced. They're not sure where they fit in. They desire purpose, belonging, drive, and goals. What's holding them back is that they lack self-awareness. They're too comfortable and they're not knowing where to start. So a lot of people who feel like that there's something they're meant for, but they just don't know what yet. So the influences for the brands for Ben is we have Wrangler, Pontiac, we have Amy's because Ben's vegetarian, just a fact. WWF, Kung Fu Panda, NASCAR, Busch Light, and Milwaukee. And to be honest, a lot of these brands are like NASCAR, Busch Light, and Milwaukee is a lot of my stepdad. He was a huge influence of Zen with Ben. Actually, when I started filming episodes, I actually shot the first few in his workshop. And so the overall tone, we have classic, authentic, quality, nostalgic, playful, crafted, and trusted. The overall brand tone, we have bold, memorable, balanced, approachable, charismatic, wise, ridiculous, badass, playful, and warm. And I pulled Mr. Miyagi because Mr. Miyagi is a badass, but he doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's fun. The colors that represents, I went ahead and actually pulled color hexes, but I had blue, orange, brown, and tan. So this sunset is like a really great representation of the colors that I want my brand to embody. Style fonts, so I have bold, vintage, crafted, and playful. And like I said before, I just went into Google images and just typed in like bold fonts, vintage fonts, and just found a couple fonts that I really loved and just added them here. Interior design. So this is very rustic. It's quirky, it's textural, warm, and comfortable. And I always imagine like Zen with Ben almost being like Pee-wee's Playhouse, right? It's like very ridiculous and like the set is alive, but it's like in a workshop or it's like in an old garage or something. And how do I want people to feel, right? So I want them to feel inspired. I want them to feel free, have this sense of wonder, laughter. I want them to enjoy themselves if they're engaging in with my content and feel safe. And what I love about bringing comedy into this kind of world is that it helps bring people's barriers. It helps them really let them go. And because I think laughter is a great unifier. So we can see how all the mood board comes together, right? We can see the color set. We have like oranges, whether it's from the sunsets, right? The two images, and also from the Gulf dealer sign. We have the rustic fonts. We have the brand tone image of Mr. Miyagi, and also like Pontiac, right? From the brands. So now we're seeing how all this is fitting together. Now, I'm going to take it a step further and let you guys see now how does this all communicate when it's all designed based off this. So you can see how it all comes together in the creative direction. So this is everything from the previous slides, all distilled into a design. So we have the logo, Zen with Ben, right? And when I was doing this, I lived in St. Pete, Florida. And the tagline I came up with for myself was Eastern Wisdom with Southern Kick-Ass. Here's a website, Awaken the Badass Within. And also, as you see the images with, or the logos at the bottom, bringing in some humor and kind of poking fun even at like the coaching industry. It says has never been featured in. So it's like has never been featured on NBC or TED or Entrepreneur. So I thought this would be a fun way to integrate those logos and yeah, just be playful with it. Here's some episodes. So I did episodes on like law of attraction, true love, synchronicity, letting go of fear, failure, success. And actually all my episodes are on YouTube. So if you just search Zen with Ben, you can actually watch them. More imagery, fortune cookie, your inner badass awaits. So bringing in a lot of like Asian influences with that kind of tongue-in-cheek tone as well. Here's a footer. So I love being able to mock up, like on the Bush can here, Zen with Ben, and bringing in a lot of the brands that I am inspired by. And like, okay, what would be a Zen with Ben version of that? Here's some photography I did, and I literally just set up a tripod and took pictures of myself here. So using the Enzo as like the frame showing Zen with Ben. And yes, I did actually get hats made. People ask me that all the time. I have a camo hat and I got a black hat. Here's an Instagram. So as you see even from the brand tone and even the mood board, you can compare this type of images I'm finding based off of that. So what's cool is that it goes beyond the website. It goes throughout all your social media. So we have like the warm tones of like sunsets. We have like the blue tones. We have the sand, which is like Zen. And then because the whole idea of Zen with Ben is about taking polarities and coming together, right? So I created different kind of content buckets. So for instance, this content bucket with Abraham Lincoln, I call this motivational mashups. And the whole idea is that it's taking someone like Abraham Lincoln and then bringing in like a modern or like contemporary like song lyric. So for Abraham Lincoln, it says, but if you're thinking about my baby, it don't matter if you're black or white. And then I have like a whole bunch of these. And these are actually all on my Instagram. So you can go through and check those out. I also created like these like Benisms, silence is better than bullshit. And then I also had like these Zen koans. And so people can interact and, feed me and live, give me a drink and I die, and I love to hear if you guys know the answer to that. That's always fun, but it just gives a way for people to engage with the brand. So they're not just observing it, they're actually participating and they're feeling like they're part of the story. I'll give you a second to answer that. Feed me and I live, yet drink me and I die. It's fire. Just saying. All right. So then here's my YouTube. Close fish. Actually, not close at all. That was totally off. But here's my YouTube channel. So I did my favorite episode. I did a whole thing on vision boards, and that's Ben's vision board. So I have like Wolverine and like Sylvester Stallone. I have me as like Karate Kid. And then I have like Katy Perry and Taylor Swift as like my love interests. So it was just a very fun way to like share all these aspects of myself in a very like creative and just vulnerable way, but that allowed me to just have fun and just like express like this side of myself that not many people really knew that I had. And that's what's so cool about doing your personal brand and getting to this point where you can just share all of yourself and have fun with it. And like, don't worry about what people are going to think or like if it's going to suck or not. If anything, that's probably the best stuff. If you feel scared to share it, that's actually where you should probably lean more towards. Yep. And so now it's your turn, guys. So keep doing that personal or the brand Bible. You guys are already so close to finishing it. And now that you can see like why you want to do the brand Bible, I really wanted to show you like how your brand Bible can inspire everything else. So the weight of your brand Bible is so important to really acknowledge that. So the more that you can put that intention in, but also the playfulness, the better it's going to turn out. I'll hand it off to you, Dima.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. And I'll share my screen in a moment here. Thank you, everybody, for playing with us today. This has been so much fun. Back to the third question I asked, which is how confident do you feel in building a brand that fully expresses your essence and amplifies your influence? Whatever your answer was in the beginning, give me a 1 to 10 for where you are now. 12. I love it. 5, 8, 8. Perfect. So what we just did is the first step of our full process. And so what I want to share with you is how we can continue to support you, whether that's completely for free with our free workshops and tools that I'm going to share in a moment, or through our custom services where we do all of this for you, or through our newly launched DIY, which stands for Do Influex Yourself program. And so I'll share the remaining phases of the Influex process so that you know what's ahead for you and where to get some of those tools. And then I'll share our opportunity. We actually start DIY, our new live training program tomorrow, where we walk you through the entire process and literally hold your hand, give you personalized feedback at every step. So I'm going to share a little bit of that and how you can join us in that program. As well as after this, we might be a little tight on time. So what we'll do is we'll stay past 5:30 to do at least one hot seat for Boris, most likely 2 hot seats for Kayvon as well. And for those of you that can't stay past 5:30, totally okay. We'll get you this recording. We'll send out all of the tools afterwards as well. But if you can, we're going to play more. We're going to do some hot seats. We're going to do some Q&A. So, and awesome to see all the 7, 8, 9, 12 plus. 5 is up from 1. So my goal, our goal here is to deliver something to you that at least as an option, you have the opportunity to enter 2021, not only with a 10 out of 10 on a brand that fully expresses your essence and fully drives the results, the kind of results you want to your business, but also a 10 out of 10 on having the skill to build a really great site that both initially gets you those results, and for the rest of this digital decade and the rest of your career and business, you've mastered this entrepreneurial skill so that anytime you start a new business or a new brand, or you're helping somebody else with their brand, then you'll be empowered to actually guide people through this process because you'll have all of the tools and the behind the scenes expertise. So that said, let me jump in here and share my screen. So the options for us to continue supporting you in building a personal brand that, again, fully expresses who you are and amplifies your influence is, first, is free. So we've got trainings and tools on our blog, influex.com/blog. And if you're new to our community, and if you're new to our email list, influex.com/kit, if you opt in there, we've actually got a ton more free tools there. And that's also where we'll notify you when we do more free trainings. Some of those tools include your Creative Clarity Questionnaire, which is a document that's like a journaling process that'll help give you clarity and guidance that when you actually do your brand Bible, you'll be able to go even deeper on those answers. We have a site structure and copy canvas where we've got every primary page laid out for you and the copy formulas for every one of those pages, and the standard wireframe for a great personal brand site. We've got a photography guide and training that is exactly what we give to our clients to get a great personal brand photo shoot, and a guide to write a really great origin story so that you're telling a story that connects and not just your bio that gives your authority. So all of these are available at influex.com/kit, and that is completely free. You're already on our email list from the webinar. So of course, when you get in here, you'll just be able to access all of those tools, and there's some instructions in here on how to use them, and then more trainings on our blog so that we can continue to empower you. Whether we ever work together or not, whether we ever exchange a dollar, we just want to make sure that your site and your brand is even more fully expressed, because we do believe in building a beautifully expressed world through websites. And so if you want to hire us, there's a couple of ways to do that. I'm not going to go into those details now. Our innovation packages, where you get me and Jonathan and the rest of our creative team to do all of this for you, start at $27,000. VIP goes all the way up to $66,000. If that's something you're interested in discussing, just shoot us an email. That's express@influex.com. And of course, all the free tools that I'm giving are the same tools that we use with our clients for these innovation packages. We recently made something available called Pro Sites, where it's not our innovation level. You get less of me and Jonathan, but you get our design and development team to build out your site for you, and you do some of the brand Bible and write your own copy. And so that is currently for coaches and consultants. It's just under $10,000. If you want to have a chat about that, that is influex.com/pro invite. And I want to spend a little more time here, because we're actually starting these live classes tomorrow, sharing with you what DIY is. So first, before I jump right into this, just quick show of hands. If there was a way for us to guide you through every step of the process, including designing your site, writing your copy, writing your origin story, developing your site, in the same way that Jonathan just guided you through today, is that something that you would be interested in joining us for? And is that a skill you'd find really useful for the coming years? Yes. Awesome. So what DIY is a step-by-step training and guidance where we walk through every phase of our proven process and give you all the top tools that, again, we use for our influencer sites. It's the 3 phases of our proven process. In the first couple of weeks, covering essence extraction, then moving into essence expression and expert execution. I'm going to cover each of those phases so that you're aware of what the journey ahead looks like, and you can see whether right now is the time for you to join us for this journey. And the promise at the end of this is that you'll build yourself a beautiful personal brand site that expresses your essence and amplifies your influence, whether you're doing it entirely yourself, or you're hiring a team, or working with contractors, or you've got an in-house team working on this for you. You'll be your own chief strategist on your site, and you'll have that skill for the rest of your life. And so I'm going to walk through what the map for the next several weeks is, and what our special enrollment offer is today, because we've got some special bonuses, and we're actually covering literally half the tuition for you if you actually follow through and execute on the training. Firstly, who's this for? It's for anybody that's building a personal brand, or if your personal brand matters for your business. This is even if, or I would say especially if you're hiring somebody to do this for you, you'll save so much time, energy, and money by actually having these skills and guidance, rather than just throwing money at the thing to get somebody to do it for you. And so this is not for you if you're not willing to put in the time and really go deep. So as you can see, this is fun, but can also be a confronting and challenging process. And if you've got zero budget, very little time for implementation, while this saves a ton of time, energy, and money, if you're building a site anyway, if you got zero time, zero budget, then this probably isn't for you. And if you're so new that you have no idea yet what you're doing in business, you don't have a service or a product or anything that you're selling or thinking about selling, this can be useful because building a personal brand is useful regardless. I started mine when I was 20 and I had no idea what I was doing. But I will say that this is not a business in a box or a business startup course. This is mostly to be able to build your brand, go into the depth of who you are, and then express that online and serve your customers and audience and reach more people. And so there's a process that we guide you through. The first phase of which is essence extraction. We got the first piece of essence extraction today, which is the brand Bible. We're going to go even deeper on that and helping you implement that. And then in the second week, we go through your strategic site structure, which is determining exactly which pages you need, how to design and structure your site to engage an audience and walk them through a conversion journey. And we've got already pre-built wireframes and a simple wireframing tool in a way that you can plug copy directly into for each page. So before you ever write a word of copy or start a pixel of design, you'll get this creative clarity and essence extraction done. And then you'll be able to go from extraction to expression, which in the next, in weeks 3 through 5, the promise there is that you'll master your message, craft your origin story, and design a beautiful brand site that actually drives results. So in the third week, we go into messaging mastery. You're going to take that site structure and you're going to write all of the copy within your site. And that structure will make it so that your brand Bible will then go into a customer conversion journey on your site that also captures your fully authentic voice. And copy, we found, is one of the hardest areas to write for yourself in this process. And so we also include some hot seats with some of our masterful Influex copywriters, where we do live hot seats and feedback on your copy along the way. In week 4, we get Patrick Combs to guide us through the origin story process of extracting and then writing a compelling origin story, and then how to bring that story beyond your site onto stages, podcasts, and media in a way that becomes really memorable and humanizes you while also building credibility and authority. And then finally, we get to the really exciting part, which is the digital artistry, right? Actually designing your site. And whether you're doing it yourself and you're using templates and tools, or you're hiring a designer, we've got you, including with the designers, we've got a job ad template and a whole training that Jonathan does on how to build a really collaborative relationship with a designer and to get the most out of their talents, even if you're on a tight budget. And Jonathan is also giving his identity design or logo design course as part of this, and how to work with a designer to create a really great logo. And so once you have your messaging, your origin story, and your design in place, that's when you get to go to execution. And so we'll cover how to develop, launch, and maintain a really high quality site with the perfect tech stack that's right for you, including the exact tech stack that we use at Influex. And so in week 6, we cover the execution equation, the time, talent, and team, the combination of those that you either have available or that you need to have really easeful and effective execution through the site design process. If you're going to do this yourself, we'll give you the simple tools and options to do everything yourself and build it. If you're going to hire and work with a developer, which we typically recommend for the best results, even if you're on a tight budget, we again give you the job ad template and some specific training on how to work with coders and developers and WordPress experts along the way, so that they're supporting you in the best way possible while working on a tight budget. And then in week 7, we go into the tech stack and development process. So actually building your site from your design, how to actually build it into life in a way that's mobile responsive, really SEO friendly, has the right integrations and analytics. And then we give you our exact tech stack and then help you determine what tech you need for your site and for your skill set level, exact plugins, themes, and tools that we use and that we recommend depending on what your goals are. And finally, in week 8, we do quality control and launch. So we give you our QC checklist, walk you through how to ensure before you launch your site, everything's fully good to go. And then how to maintain your site after launch. So the right post-launch maintenance and how to keep evolving your brand. And I'll cover tuition in a moment here. I will say at this point, if you launch by the end of 2020, if you launch your site, and done is better than perfect, doesn't have to be perfect, just that it's out there and live, we actually take care of half your tuition payment for you because we really want to incentivize you to ensure that you start the new year and what I'm really calling this digital decade as with your new personal brand site as a full expression of who you are. And so this 3-phase process, as well as some bonuses that I'll cover in a minute, the regular tuition for it is $2,000. I'll cover in a moment, right after the bonuses, what the special opportunity today is. First, quickly on the bonuses. Once you launch your site, we want to help you with amplifying your influence as well. So we've got several of these bonus workshops, some of which have been recorded, some of which we're going to be doing live throughout the coming months with some of the experts that we trust in various areas, ranging from if you're launching a podcast to if you're doing blogging. We've got Ben Hardy that's going to be coming on live and teaching you his article writing process for how he became the top writer on Medium, and as well as his tools and templates. Liz Germain for how to reach a lot of people on YouTube and how to leverage YouTube content for your site. Spencer Shaw on how to launch a successful podcast. Zach Benson actually recently did a training for us on how to grow your Instagram following, how to connect that to your personal brand. A number of you are here from Jennifer Hootie. So she did a workshop with us on how to write really great conscious copy, and she'll give us some more tools on client conversion sequences. Alex Moscow on once you get leads, how to actually convert them. And then Mark Lack on how to reach potentially millions of people with his strategies with your personal brand. And then there's new instructors that we're bringing on for various topics that we're interested in learning. For example, I'm excited to learn messenger bots and how to use Facebook Messenger bots to have more automated conversions on a site. So we're going to bring in an expert on that. We're going to learn from them, and then we're going to give you that training and live Q&A as well. Second bonus here is that we have an exclusive community where you get to connect and collaborate with our team, clients, and fellow DIY students. That's called Inside Influence. It's currently a private Facebook group. And the message here is DIY is do Influex yourself, so do it yourself, but don't do it alone. And so we've got so much that's happening within our community. And every week that we do a training, there's so much collaboration, feedback, and support that happens from the fellow students. And from us, we often jump in there, give you feedback and support on your progress, give you feedback on anything that you're currently working on. So while you're doing it yourself, you're certainly not doing it alone. You're connecting and collaborating with a community. And third bonus is we've got an influencer template that we're working on. So while there's tens of thousands of templates and themes out there, we found nothing that really fits for a great personal brand site other than just using Elementor and building your own. And so what we're developing behind the scenes is a template that follows our process that makes it 10 times easier for you to actually implement and develop. So you'll get the beta version of that in November once you're ready for the building phase. And finally, if you decide you start this process, but then you just want to hire us to do it for you, we apply the first part of tuition towards a pro site voucher with us. So the money's not burning a hole in your pocket. And if you decide, hey, I just want to hire these guys, as long as you complete the creative clarity phase, we actually give you a credit towards working with us if you choose to. have our team execute the process for you. And so and if you're catching the recording of this, then it's all the bonuses I just listed. If you're on here live, then this is the special opportunity for literally just today, because this expires at midnight, because we're actually starting the course tomorrow for the next 11 students, or midnight tonight, whichever comes first. We're doing these VIP bonuses, which is, firstly, it's personalized reviews at every stage of the process. And so this is a literal scarcity, because there's only so much time that we have on our schedule. So we're committing this to the next 11 students. We've already committed to 39 total. And this is me, Jonathan, or our Chief Influence Officer, Mike Budney, giving personalized reviews either on hot seats or Loom videos at every stage of the process. And other VIP bonus here is that you actually get a 30-minute creative consult with Chief Influence Officer Mike Budney. And he is an excellent marketing and site strategist, and he'll go through whatever it is that you need on a private 30-minute consult. And then finally, I mentioned Origin Story. Patrick Combs is also revealing his Origin Story course. We'll be co-launching that with him in October at a $500 price point. This is something that for the next 11 students as well, we're actually giving away a full Origin Story course and all we ask for in that is if you join it at this level, that you actually go through the course and you give us feedback. So we're actually giving that as a gift as one of the VIP bonuses. And so regular tuition, as I mentioned, is $2,000. The payment plan would be 2 payments of $1,000, which would be $1,000 today, and $1,000 essentially at the end of the process, which we look at this as approximately a 3-month process, sometimes less, sometimes more. But I like putting on here in 111 days, which is January 2021. That said, if you launch your site by the end of 2020, which if you follow along with us, we'll make that as easy as possible for you. If you launch your site by the end of 2020, then your second payment is on us. So then the tuition is literally only $1,000 versus being $2,000, and that includes everything that I mentioned there. The only catch is it's $1,000 plus your actual full commitment to yourself that you'll actually launch and follow through. And so I want to drop the link in here to join us. And I want to give the conditional guarantee, which is that, of course, we want this to be fully right for you and the right timing. This is the only time that we're going to do this level of live engagement. So afterwards, in 2021, this will be a course that's available in a membership site that will be pre-recorded. In this case, what we're starting for the coming weeks is actually me, Mike, Jonathan, and others on our team doing live trainings just like we did today and giving you the recordings and tools so that we can walk you through as a community step by step, and you get direct access to our consulting along the way throughout the trainings. The conditional guarantee here is that if you do start this and you decide for any reason that it's not for you right now or you want a refund, we're happy to provide a full refund. All we ask for is that you actually complete your brand Bible and your creative clarity questionnaire. And the reason for that is because even if you choose not to continue and you get the refund, we want to make sure that you got the value out of working with us in some way. And we know that'll happen through completing the creative clarity process. The live training for this starts tomorrow, which is Thursday at 10 a.m. Fortunately, if you can't make it tomorrow, tomorrow's training is primarily the brand Bible. So you're not missing much if you can't make it till next week. And if you do make it tomorrow, we've got some new stuff there as well on our brand clarity triangle and giving you the roadmap for the weeks ahead. And again, the VIP bonuses that I mentioned expire tonight at midnight or the first 11 students. So if you're here live, would love to have you join us and would love to be able to get to know each other more deeply through the feedback process. And that'll help you stay on track, which means that we'll get to cover half your tuition. And I mentioned this before, which is through this process, I'll also be building my personal brand site. And I am super committed to having my personal site launch before January. My birthday is January 8th, so that'll be my birthday gift to myself, ensuring that I have my new personal brand site ready before that. And all along the way, I'll be sharing my own process and using myself as an example so that I'm right there along with you through the journey, including confronting and challenging my own fears and roadblocks along the way with my team helping me and sharing the progress with you each week. So question for those of you on here who want to be at a 10 for each of these, who is in to join us? And what questions do you have for us around this? Karen asked, does it have to be your personal brand? This is primarily designed for a personal brand. That said, we have people in DIY who are building company brands, product brands, who are getting tremendous amount of benefit from this because all the stuff that we teach is applicable to any website. So while we're most passionate about personal brands, because I love the concept of expression and bringing somebody's full personal essence through, 90% of this still applies to really any website or brand that you're building. Awesome, Joe. And you're already in DIY. Who else is on here that's already in DIY? It's really good to have our students keep joining us. Higgy, yes. Awesome. And those who've already paid somebody to build your site, then I even, or are thinking of paying someone to build your site, then I even more deeply encourage doing this program because it'll help you with that tremendously. Or if you're considering paying somebody or have paid somebody to build your site, if you don't want to get this program, at the very least, go get some of our creative clarity tools and fill those out for free because they'll help you tremendously with working with any web vendor. I've seen so many horror stories of really talented web vendors and really well-meaning entrepreneurs coming together and then not having a great experience because that creative clarity isn't there. Awesome, Boris. Hopefully you can join us. And Joe Costello, Elementor and Genesis. Yes, absolutely. That's our main tech stack. And the template that we're building is actually an Elementor template. Awesome, Casey. Here's the link again. And Boris, if you are still on here, we would love to do a quick hot seat for you. And then we will probably wrap up by 6 to honor everybody's time here. That said, Kayvon, we will definitely do a full-on hot seat for you throughout DIY. You're in the program, even more depth than we get to do on here. And for those of you that, while Jonathan is pulling that up, any questions that I could answer in the chat, either about anything that we've covered on the Brand Bible or anything on the on DIY or working with us in any capacity. And Simon, Elementor does have landing pages. Yeah, Elementor is our #1 tool for our tech stack that we believe it makes all of WordPress so much easier, faster, and really easy to manage and build there. And Laurent, chat to someone whether you can use this training for your corporate brand or personal brand. Yes. So again, while it's designed for personal brand, it works really well for a company brand as well. And one of the things we actually cover is the brand clarity triangle of how your personal, company, and product brands all work together. Awesome. So with that, Jonathan, you game to do one quick hot seat for Boris here, and then we'll wrap up and we'll get everybody the recording and resources right after.
Yeah, let's do it. I got Boris's set up. Do you want to bring Boris on?
Yep, let's do it. And Simon, you asked somebody helping you with your social media. Can we join DIY together? So I actually encourage bring your team. We're doing this for, we're going to help you build one primary brand. Of course, you're welcome to use it for multiple brands. But if you're joining this, I encourage bring your team. If you're hiring designers or developers or copywriters to work with you, social media managers, have them either go through all of DIY with you, or at least we'll give them the specific lessons. So when it comes to the design phase, we'll give that. You actually want to give that to your designer. So this not only gives you the training, but anybody you hire along the way to work for you or with you on your brand, you get to give them the training and the tools so that you're not just your own best strategist, but we're then your strategist by proxy. Um, so that said, let's bring on Boris and let's do a hot seat. And hot seats is one of the things that we actually love doing throughout the uh, throughout the process here. And in our live trainings on DIY, we do a lot of hot seats and live feedback. So I'm going to do promote to a panelist. Awesome. Boris, can you hear us? And if you can unmute yourself.
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we sure can.
Thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate you. This is so much value.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us, Boris. And, overall, I just want to say, great work on doing your brand Bible, getting it done in such a timely fashion and sending it over to us. And, as I go through this, I'm just going to go through slide by slide so people can get an idea of, what you've done and what you've created. But I'd love to hear kind of what was the overall experience doing this?
So I learned a lot because I got to take a step back and I guess write out and lay out my competitors from a brand perspective. I'm an SEO, so I work with a lot of spreadsheets, and I do have spreadsheets that I built out for a lot of these things, but I never really took the time to build out a brand. And while I think I have a pretty good eye for what branding should be, I'm not a graphics designer, so my limitation is to using something like Canva, for example, very light Photoshop. So this was like really cool to get a chance to see what our branding could be, but I'm also learning a lot, and I would probably do this a little bit differently now that I actually attended the session with you guys. So this was really, really helpful.
Awesome. So what would be some of the things that you would revisit now that you've gone through this with us?
I would probably look at my fonts and re-explore that section because I think that I don't know. I think it could be better, but my problem is that I'm very limited in what I'm able to do in terms of my branding. Like I have it in my head, but I don't really know how to express it on paper, I guess.
As far as like implementing it or
Yeah,
just getting
and explaining to a graphics designer like what needs to work with the design. So it's something that I've built, but I feel like there's room to grow and there's room to improve with what I have here.
No, that's great. And that actually brings up and I talked about this earlier, the importance of like even just little basic design fundamentals can go such a long way, especially with choosing fonts specifically. Fonts is a very tough thing to do in choosing the right ones. And yeah, one of our weeks, I go through and I basically do a crash course, like design, all aspects, simple things, even just as far as like balance and composition and juxtaposition and all of these things, all the way up to, what's the correct way to use fonts, how to avoid using certain fonts. So I feel like that would really be helpful. But I would say with the overall fonts here, you have a very clean and it's very straightforward. I love that you have like a script font as well, like just that. And I think that you can get a lot of range just having like a playful font, a very bold in your face font, which is the Destiny Show, and then a very like simple, legible, like body copy font, which is like your podcast. So you have, even though it might be, not many fonts, sometimes the more simple fonts is the best execution because fonts is just one aspect. You're going to have, colors, you're going to have photography, you're going to have other logos. So sometimes the most simplest fonts might be the best approach because it's just going to be one part of it.
This is really great. Thank you.
Yeah. And what would you say was, other than fonts, what was probably the most challenging part, or the part that took you the longest to extract for yourself?
I mean, I don't think this really took me a long time to do. I think it took me maybe an hour and a half, because I have a pretty
Nice.
good understanding where our branding is and what it
Mm,
needs to be. And I've pretty much everything that you see here, I built myself. But I've been trying to find a graphics designer to work with and to help us to take things to the next level. And that has been my challenge, because I always feel like I hire someone to do something and then I get the results and I'm just not happy, because I feel like my expectations are really high, just because
mhm.
I'm kind of a perfectionist myself. But then it's like some people don't really produce the results that I envision in my head. So that's been kind of my struggle. So I really hope presenting this to a graphics designer would help them to realize what we're all about and how to capture the essence of what we are as a podcast.
Hmm. I'll also give a gift to you and everyone else here right now. I'm going to pull up the link where we have our graphic designer hiring template and process from DIY, and I'm just
Oh,
going to
dude, that would
give
help
that
so
as a
much. Thank
document
you.
here, so that anyone you hire, at least you're hiring from the right place.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think my other problem is that, I haven't really had the budget to hire someone really capable. So I feel like I have to resort to using something like Fiverr. And when you go to something like that, you either have to give somebody a lot of direction, or you have to pretty much take a gamble a few times before you find someone who's really right. And I'm still trying to find someone who's really talented and who I can really work with to capture what I need from a marketing standpoint, because marketing is my expertise. I've read so many books and I build all of my websites, um, and I do search engine optimization. So that's something that I focus on very heavily for myself and for my clients.
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Well,
and Dima has a great experience too of building a team, finding talent. It's even from, like, depending on the budget you have, finding the right people too, and that's something we
Yeah.
also do cover as well, which is perfect.
Yeah, no, this is great. And this is just a passion project of mine. I don't really make money with this podcast. I just started doing sponsorship things. And I work with Pat Flynn. He's my mentor, and he taught me about starting a podcast. And I'm actually getting ready to start my second podcast. So I think your program would
Awesome.
be absolutely perfect for what I'm doing.
Great. So, what would you say to someone that's going through this process now that you've gone through it? What would you say to someone that would help them along the way?
I think it's really important to think about your brand, because your brand is very important. If you don't put your best foot forward, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunities. So even if you're ranking well in Google and even if you have a website, you're still not doing your brand the best service, and you got to put your best foot forward. And that's something that I'm learning. And I was originally planning on starting a podcast with, okay branding, and I thought that was going to be the right way to go. But as I'm learning from a lot of experts and people who are like really, really successful in building a podcast from zero, I'm learning that I need to really focus more heavily on my brand. And that's something that can take something that's average, even if I have a lot of passion and work very hard, it can take it to the next level by having a strong brand and strong identity. And this template actually captures a lot of what is so important when thinking about the design process and building a brand. So this is great.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. Now, is there anything you want to ask me or Dima while we have you?
Um, if there are any recommendations that you have for my website, I actually am also a web designer, and I built my website for my podcast at destinyshow.com. And I'm curious if that represents where I'm going or the direction that I'm going in, because I'm looking to optimize that. And that's kind of a personal hobby of mine. I can tell you that none of my competitors in this space have a website. I'm the only one who has a website, and there's another competitor, and I built his website for him. So I'm the only one who is even taking that step in my field here. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, because currently we're ranking at number one in Google for Destiny Podcast, and I'm looking to optimize it further to convert and to capture more listeners on our show.
Uh, Firstly, I'll say I'm looking at your site right now, Jonathan. If you want to pull up destinyshow.com, and for building this yourself, really great work. This is a really awesome start, and it's much further along than like most of what I see as an initial site. So like,
yeah,
great
and
job.
I'm still refining it. I'm focusing on page speed right now because it's not as ideal as I would want it to be, but I think we're held back a little bit by the theme that we're using. So I contacted the developers of the theme to see if they can fix certain items that are causing the page speed issues. But overall, I mean, I was able to rank this site #1 in Google, and I'm just kind of getting ready for next year when Google rolls out some new updates and makes page speed a lot more important in the overall process.
One thing I would do, so I see that you have subscribed to the VIP list towards the bottom there as the one email opt-in. So I would actually consider getting a really specific giveaway as your email opt-in, and have it further up at the top, because that'll be one of the most valuable things that you can get from people visiting your site. And anytime somebody goes back to the site, so like let's say we click on a podcast episode specifically, that email opt-in and a CTA to subscribe is always on there. The other thing that I would consider here quickly is the whole site is kind of in a reverse type. So what I mean by that is it's white font on a dark background. And even if I click on the podcast episodes, it's that as well. It's gray on top of black. So I would consider, and I realize it's part of your brand, but especially for the longer pages, like a single episode, actually having more of the background be light or white versus dark, because it gives people a much easier reading time.
Yeah, no, I
that said,
definitely
you don't have to do that, but
do
it definitely makes it more readable, which means that most likely people will stay on the page a little bit longer and actually read the notes there.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm actually going to revisit the background and see what I can do to optimize it further to improve that, because that's really great advice. Yeah, and next step, I'm going to be adding some content pillars and working on building out some content and some blog on here. I have like 3 or 4 articles and they are ranking for certain keywords, but I'd like to focus in on that a little bit more with this project. And yeah, thank you. This is really great stuff.
Let me ask this real quick for your header. What would you say is the main benefit of somebody going to the podcast and being here and listening?
You will meet some of the best creators in the Destiny community, and I had the pleasure to interview some of the best people in video games, and I think that it's something that would show in the podcast, and that's why our interview segment is the first thing that we have on the show.
Would you say they'll learn new skills, they'll get inspired? Like, what are some of the things that they
definitely
get?
Inspiration, very much so. We bring on video game industry veterans, we bring on game developers and big content creators, YouTubers in Destiny, and they share stories, they share their experiences, and share their best advice on how to be a monster slaying machine in Destiny.
Awesome. I love it. So, and for meta context for everybody listening to this as well, is, at first you were answering, these are all the things that are great, about the podcast, and you interviewing people, and then you started answering more in the direction of, here's the true benefit to somebody going here and visiting it, which is like, if they get inspired, they get a behind the scenes look that's exclusive, maybe that's different from anything that they would find directly from those creators. But I would start to look at, like, the feature is we have these amazing behind the scenes guests. The benefit is so you can, right? And then blank. So you can get inspired. So you can be more like the top creators. So you can aspire to being a top creator yourself, or something along those lines. But
and I love the words you use, like slay, like use that, like that's such great, like good word to use too. I love that.
Yeah, I took quite a few classes on content marketing, especially with HubSpot, and I've been focusing a lot on improving content, and I do search engine optimization. So naturally I have to work with brands and help them improve their sites. So it's something that I focus on a lot throughout my day.
Mm, awesome. Love it. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing this, sharing your brand Bible. Love that we actually got to view your website. So this is really great. I hope this was really helpful
Yeah,
for
no,
everyone.
thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you, and your websites are absolutely stunning. I love what you are doing, and I aspire every day to create content on that quality. So I'm grateful for all that you're doing. Thank you.
Awesome.
Mm,
Thank you, Boris.
thanks,
Really
Boris.
appreciate you hopping on here. Um, Awesome. Well, we will wrap up. Thank you so much to everybody who has stayed here for a full 2 hours and just continue to play with us. And congratulations for those of you who followed along, made so much progress on your brand Bibles. We'd love to hear from you as you complete your brand Bibles, whether you're in DIY or not, as you start to work on your sites. Just shoot us an email and give us like an update on, hey, this is what I've created so far with the training. That's what makes us so fulfilled in doing this. And we don't make most of our money through doing these trainings. Our primary business is the agency and the influencers we serve. And so it's such a passion project of ours to be able to do this training, to do DIY, to show up and support students and collaborators and co-creators. And of course, on these free workshops as well, we just really enjoy seeing the results. So congratulations for everybody who has done the implementation, and great freaking work, Jonathan. Every time you teach, I sit back and learn and observe both about the content itself and how you teach. So
Mm.
thank you for being such an amazing Imagineer and teacher.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here and letting me teach and share and express the things that I'm passionate about.
Awesome. Well, we'll see some of you tomorrow morning for those of you already in DIY or who just joined. And for the rest of you, hopefully we'll see you on another free training sometime soon.
Take care, guys.